Today we will review the Progress Inspection Checklist form, which is one of the GLO's encouraged documents for voluntary buyout or acquisition programs. This form is specific to acquisition for redevelopment only, and buyout programs are not required to complete this form. A hyperlink to the GLO's Progress Inspection Checklist form can be found on the Texas General Land Office website at recovery.texas.gov. To locate the document, go to the Buyout and Acquisition Program page, which is linked below in the description section of this video. To locate the Buyout and Acquisition Program page, go to recovery.texas.gov. Click on the Grant Administration at the top of the page. Click on the arrow next to the Grant Implementation in the navigation menu on the top left of the page and select Buyouts and Acquisitions. Scroll down to the Supplemental Documentation section and click on the Progress Inspection Checklist link. Once you click on the link, your computer will download the fillable document. Please note, you will need Microsoft Word to view and edit the document. Although CDBG DR funding is not being used for the reconstruction or new construction of the residence, properties purchased under a local acquisition for redevelopment program are eligible for redevelopment in the future in a resilient manner to protect future occupants of the property. The post-purchase disposition of most acquired properties is subject to certain limitations and requirements and CDBG DR eligible activities and national objectives. But subrecipients have flexibility within these parameters to redevelop the properties in a way that best serves the goals of the community and in a manner that is in line with the community's long-term community recovery plan. For example, rehabilitation or new construction of homes to be rented or sold to qualified LMI households, or passive recreational space that meets LMI area benefit requirements. All projects redeveloped as part of the CDBG DR program are subject to the following requirements: compliance with all applicable CDBG, DR, and cross-cutting federal requirements. Examples include, but are not limited to, additional environmental reviews, procurement standards, potential compliance with Davis-Bacon and related acts, Section 3, Section 504, and other federal regulations. Minimum property standards. Subrecipients must complete a Housing Quality Standards inspection checklist to ensure they are meeting minimum property standards for housing quality. See the instructional video on the HQS inspection checklist, located on the Buyout and Acquisition Program page for more information. Local code requirements. Each residence must be constructed in accordance with local codes, rehabilitation standards, ordinances, and zoning ordinances at the time of project completion. Flood insurance requirements. All properties located in the special flood hazard area that are acquired with CDBG DR funds that can be redeveloped, regardless of whether they are maintained by the subrecipient, sold at fair market value, donated, or transferred for less than fair market value, must have a requirement to maintain flood insurance recorded on the property. Elevation standards. All structures defined at 44 CFR 59.1, designed principally for residential use and located within the 100-year or 1% annual chance floodplain that receive assistance for new construction, repair of substantial damage, or substantial improvement, as defined at 24 CFR 55.2B10, must be elevated with the lowest floor, including the basement, at least 2 feet above the base flood elevation. Mixed-use structures with no dwelling units and no residence below 2 feet above base flood elevation must be elevated or floodproofed in accordance with FEMA floodproofing standards at 44 CFR 60.3 C3II or successor standard, up to at least 2 feet above base flood elevation. Green building standards. All newly constructed or reconstructed residences under the program must meet an industry-recognized standard that has achieved certification under at least one of the following programs: Energy Star certified homes or multifamily high-rise, Enterprise Green Communities, LEED new construction, homes, mid-rise, existing building operations, and maintenance or neighborhood development. ICC 700 National Green Building Standard. EPA Indoor Air Plus, an Energy Star prerequisite. Or any other relevant comprehensive green building program acceptable to HUD. Subrecipients must identify which green building standard will be used in the program policies and procedures. Broadband infrastructure in multifamily housing. Any new construction of a building with more than 4 rental units must include installation of broadband infrastructure, except where the grantee documents that A, the location of the new construction or substantial rehabilitation makes installation of broadband infrastructure infeasible, B, the cost of installing broadband infrastructure would result in a fundamental alteration in the nature of its program or activity and an undue financial burden, or C, the structure of the housing to be substantially rehabilitated makes installation of broadband infrastructure infeasible. Resilient home building standards. Subrecipients are strongly encouraged to incorporate a resilient home construction standard, meaning that construction on acquired property meets an industry-recognized standard, such as those set by the Fortified Home trademarked Gold level for new construction of single-family detached homes, and Fortified Home Silver level for reconstruction of the roof, windows, and doors, or Fortified Home Bronze level for repair and reconstruction of the roof or any other equivalent, comprehensive, resilient, or disaster-resistant building program. Further, subrecipients are strongly encouraged to meet the Fortified Home Bronze level standard for roof repair or reconstruction for all construction covered under subparagraph B.32.c. Fortified Home trademark is a risk reduction program providing construction standards for new homes and retrofit standards for existing homes, which will increase a home's resilience to natural hazards, including high wind, hail, and tropical storms. Accessibility and visitability requirements. Single-family housing units must meet the accessibility requirements located in 24 CFR Part 8, which implements Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, 29 U.S.C. 794, and the GLO's visitability standards, which can be found in the Buyout and Acquisition Program page. Multifamily residences with 4 or more units must meet the design and construction requirements located in 24 CFR 100.205. Using CDBG DR funding for acquisition alone without achieving a final eligible disposition of the acquired property is not eligible. Therefore, it is critical for subrecipients to plan and ensure the funding and resources are in place to be able to achieve the final disposition following all program requirements within the required program timelines and deadlines. Although CDBG DR funding is not being used for the reconstruction or new construction of the residence, the GLO encourages subrecipients to monitor contractors' progress and follow contract management. Tools that the GLO encourages subrecipients to use to ensure the final disposition of the property is the Progress Inspection Checklist and lien waiver affidavits. These forms, along with their instructional videos, can be found on the Buyout and Acquisition Program page. To assist with meeting the federal and state requirements for the program, it is recommended that a progress inspection checklist be completed when construction is at 50% completion. The progress inspection checklist serves three primary purposes. 1. To evaluate the contractor's progress. 2. To confirm that local building codes or standards have been satisfactorily met. And 3. To confirm that all requirements of the contract are being met to the satisfaction of all parties. To elaborate, 50% inspection for reconstruction or new construction is to be completed at the point that the building shall be in a dried-in state, which means that all windows, doors, roof, and siding shall be in place, thus preventing rain penetration into the interior of the house. The rough-in plumbing shall be complete. The electrical rough-in shall be completed, including, but not limited to, the placement of receptacle boxes, switch boxes, and the placement of the circuit breaker box. The HVAC system mechanical shall be in place, including the units themselves, the ductwork, and all drain lines. The inspection shall take place prior to insulation and drywall being installed. The Progress Inspection Checklist form ensures that the newly constructed property in the Acquisition for Redevelopment program meets minimum construction standards and is meeting the elevation, green building, and visitability requirements of the program. The Progress Inspection Checklist form may be completed when construction is at 50% completion. For this video and instructional purposes, I will use an example of a fictional applicant and location to explain the form. The completion of the form will be a phased approach. In the first phase, the subrecipient will complete the first section of the form, which is the project information section. Then in phase 2, a third-party inspector will inspect the property and complete the checklist. In the third phase, the inspector will review their findings with the subrecipient and the builder. Any findings must be resolved prior to the installation of insulation and drywall. To begin, in the first section, subrecipients should complete the information on the project and applicant. First, complete the subrecipient or state representative's name field. For floor plan, subrecipients should input a description of the floor plan. For example, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Next, subrecipients should input the applicant and co-applicant names. In the physical address row, subrecipients should report the street address of the newly constructed or reconstructed dwelling. Then input the city and zip code. Finally, builder name is the name of the construction contractor that is building the residence. In the next phase of completion of the form, the inspection, a third-party track inspector will inspect the new residence to ensure that it meets standards and requirements. The inspector will check yes, no, or NA as to whether the property is compliant. Any results with no or NA should have a comment in the inspector remarks section as to why the inspection failed that item or was not applicable. The inspector should complete all sections of the form, including the general inspection, interior inspection, windows and doors, exterior inspection, and roof and attic sections. You can see that the inspector found that there was debris in the interior of the home and some trash on the exterior of the home. He marked no next to those questions respectively and let corresponding comments in the Inspector Observation Remarks section regarding those findings. The TREC inspector also noted that the building has agreed to clean up the debris and trash. Once the checklist is completed, the inspector will review the findings with the subrecipient and the builder. Upon agreement of the inspection, the inspector, superintendent, if applicable, and the builder will print their name, sign, and date the form. Any concerns or findings must be addressed prior to the tenant or homeowner moving into the property. We hope you enjoyed this training on the Progress Inspection Checklist form. If there are any additional questions during the completion of the form, subrecipients should reach out to their General Land Office Grant Manager. Additional videos covering the other required local buyout and acquisition forms are or will soon be available at the same location you are viewing this one.